Hey all, and welcome back to the Car Secrets channel. Today we're going to look at a Lexus Technical Service Bulletin number 0034-23. What this bulletin talks about is the DCM firmware or software update on a multitude of various Lexus models with years between 2023 all the way up to 2025 for some of them. So this is the firmware update for the communications module, which is responsible for the cellular communication connection of your vehicle to the network, so you can get services like remote connect, SOS, the whatever navigation assistance and all those kind of good things. So as we get more technologies in these vehicles, there is more opportunity for things to break. This TSB here addresses a bunch of concerns with those remote connect services. So these are the things that you may experience. Now, the first one talks about customized setting menu not available when in a head unit when connecting with a TechStream. TechStream is the factory scan tool, so you as a user would not see that issue. But let's say you come in for some customizations and the technician connects the scan tool and now they can't customize anything. So in that case, they would need to perform this update. What you would see is remote services inoperative. So let's say your remote start doesn't work, your SOS communication doesn't work, or you may have issues with the Apple Music or Amazon Music streaming not working. So what the manufacturers come up with is a DCM firmware or software update for that data communication module, which takes care of these problems. So let's take a look at the introduction here. So these are all the old firmware versions, and what you can look at is these letters here, C, C, D, D, E, E. As they go alphabetically up, that indicates a newer calibration. So now we're all the way up to QQ. And these calibrations and updates get released and updated from time to time. So, by the time you're watching this video, maybe there'll be XX or YY or whatever, who knows. So these are all the old ones, and this is the new one right here. So depending on the model and what you have in the system, this will be the updated calibration for the particular vehicle that they're working on. So let's take a look at the warranty information. This is not a recall. So what that means is the vehicle actually has to be exhibiting the condition and it has to be within warranty for them to cover this under warranty. Otherwise, they're going to ask you to pay for it. So the repair is the firmware update or software update. And the time it pays the tech is 0.3 hours, which honestly is a bit of a joke because this takes quite a bit longer than that to do, but that's warranty times for you. So if you come in outside of warranty, they'll charge you. Don't be surprised. I mean, I don't know how much, but it may be half an hour, maybe an hour, to be more realistic of the time it actually takes to do this job. Now, this is covered for 4 years or 50,000 miles if your vehicle has these issues from the delivery to the first customer, the in-service date, not the manufacturing date. Let's look at the tools and equipment. So TechStream is the scan tool that they use to do the updates and scan for codes. And this battery diagnostic tool is just a fancy power supply or battery charger that they use to keep the voltage up on the battery while doing this update. And now we can take a look at the update procedure. So what's involved in the procedure is first they need to move the vehicle to an area where there is a stable DCM signal, like satellite, or sorry, not satellite, cellular reception. And you need to have an active account for the remote services before beginning this process. If you've declined the telematics services, then the tech may need to create a temporary account to be able to complete this update. First step they'll do is clear all the diagnostic trouble codes from the system. Then they will verify the current firmware version. So if your version is the newest one, well, there's nothing to update. But if it's one of the older ones, then this bulletin would apply. So they would check if it's the latest available. If yes, it doesn't apply. If no, continue to the next step in diagnosis. Verify that the SOS LED is green. So it can be off, red, or green. It has to be green. That means that the communication is working. There are no other issues with the system. If it's not green, then this bulletin doesn't apply. They would have to diagnose it somehow else. If yes, continue to the next step. They would connect to the DCM firmware update utility, and then they would proceed with a firmware update from this utility. Here, they're just going to go click a bunch of buttons, press next, Start firmware update, press next, and then the current firmware will be displayed. If this image doesn't appear, they would have to do a, disconnect everything and do a battery reset. So usually that involves disconnecting the battery for like 20, 30 minutes to just clear everything out and restart the procedure. Afterwards, they would need to use the power supply tool or, battery charger to maintain the battery voltage up. If they don't do that, the ECU might get bricked or crashed while the update's been performed, which is definitely less desirable. So after they click next, the update will begin. So it's important to not disturb it because this can cause problems and may potentially require DCM ECU replacement. During the update, the SOS LED light may turn on and off a bunch of times. And then after a few minutes, under good circumstances, 5 or 10, maybe it will take longer. At the end, how they know it's done? Well, it will say DCM firmware update is complete. The green LED must stay on, and then there will be a message on the display saying, the service mode message. So when these three things happen, that means the update has been completed, and then they will need to confirm that it actually has been completed. So there's another button here, check that it's been done. Go and take a look. So it's funny that they show like this HH number here. That tells me this is an old version maybe of this bulletin, and they've modified it since then. So now we're up to QQ already. But when the newest number is displayed there, that means it's been successfully updated. And they will clear all the diagnostic trouble codes and then take a look at the Remote Connect app. So it may, like the Lexus app, it may have an issue where it says remote services are unavailable. So in that case, they would have to grab the vehicle. And it's funny too, because I think they're showing, I think this is a Toyota here. It says Ravi, so I think it's a RAV4, kind of a generic image. And then they would need to remove this vehicle from the garage, and then they would need to add it and reconnect it again and re-enroll it just to make sure that the remote connect services work. Once that's all good and there is no other messages indicating faults, they're good to go. But if there's still an issue with unable to activate, well, then they got another problem in their hands that they have to diagnose. But that's how this repair is done. And hopefully, you found this information helpful. And look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.